Johnson says there'll be no new COVID restrictions in England despite mounting pressure on the NHS. Half a dozen hospital trusts have declared critical incidents due to staff shortages, but the Prime Minister says his plan B is working.
I think the way forward for the country as a whole is to continue with the path that we're on. We'll keep everything under review.
Also tonight, unsealed the details of a deal struck between paedophile Jeffrey Epstein and his accuser Virginia Giuffre in 2009, which Prince Andrew's lawyers say frees him from any liability. And...
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, it's so nice to meet you. Are you okay with shaking hands?
Yes. A special thank you to the Canadian hockey fan who delivered a life-saving note from the sidelines.
This is ITV News with Lucrezia Millarini.
Good evening. Boris Johnson appears to have ruled out imposing tougher COVID restrictions in England despite growing pressure on hospitals. His words come as ITV News is told of at least half a dozen NHS trusts that have declared critical incidents because of staff shortages due to the virus. Our Deputy Political Editor Anushka Kristana has the details.
It may be a new year, but for Boris Johnson, it's the same setting and the same message.
I've had mine. I had a Pfizer, but I think you're getting Moderna.
I am getting Millarini, yes.
A very good drug, I'm told.
Arguing that this heavy focus on vaccines still means no need for new restrictions.
I think the way forward for the country as a whole is to continue with the path that we're on. We'll keep everything under review. Of course, we keep all measures under review.
But he admitted Omicron is taking its toll on our healthcare system.
I think we've got to recognise that the pressure on our NHS, on our hospitals, is going to be considerable in the course of the next couple of weeks and maybe more.
The most important data is hospital admissions, which are much lower than the peak last January, but are rising. There are now 14,210 COVID patients in English hospitals, up 68% in 7 days. The pressure is already being felt at an NHS trust in Lincolnshire. It declared a critical incident because Omicron is driving staff absences that are now compromising care. Is that a one-off, or is that something we're seeing across the country?
So we've got a number of trusts, around half a dozen at least, who've had to declare critical incidents because they're trying to juggle rising number of COVID cases, rising number of staff absences, on top of the fact that we've got a very, very busy health and social care system for non-COVID care.
It's not just hospitals. Schools are also having to cope with the onslaught of Omicron. In New Malden, this head teacher is preparing for students to be tested before they return, for new rules on masks, and for those absences, with 7 staff already out and more likely to follow.
So literally, one has just popped into my inbox now on our COVID illness report. Someone else has tested positive. I imagine that's how it's going to be for most of this term, if I'm honest with you.
So what are you doing to prepare for that?
There is no extra money for supply, so we couldn't afford many supply teachers anyway. I think what we'll end up doing is what we call super covers, and having 80, 90 students in halls at exam tables getting on with their work quietly. But that is much more desirable than having students at home.
And so in schools and in hospitals, the pressure is on. But for now at least, restrictions are not.
So, Anushka, COVID, just one of a number of headaches for the Prime Minister as he heads back to work.
Yeah, I think there are 3 big problems politically in the inbox as Parliament returns this week. The first is, as you say, COVID, including pressure from Conservative backbenchers. The second is all those revelations about Downing Street parties. I hear that the Daily Mirror have another story tomorrow around claims on whether or not he followed self-isolation rules. Now, he claims that he did, but all of that has had a big impact on the polls. Labour have taken a lead, including in critical seats in the North and Midlands, and its leader, Keir Starmer, wants to capitalise on that. He's got a big speech tomorrow to set out his stall for this year, and he's going to focus on one thing, which I think is the third problem for the Prime Minister, and that is the rising cost of living.
Oh, it's going to be a busy week. Anushka, thank you. Well, to a potentially significant development in the sexual assault case against Prince Andrew in the United States. Legal papers have tonight been published detailing an agreement his accuser, Virginia Giuffre, struck with convicted paedophile Jeffrey Epstein in 2009. Prince Andrew's lawyers claim the deal prevents her taking legal action against him. The Duke has always denied her allegations, as our royal editor Chris Shipp reports.
This is a significant week for Prince Andrew and for the woman suing him alleging sexual assault. The big question is whether or not a 12-year-old document made public today for the first time helps the prince's attempts to have the lawsuit against him thrown out. Virginia Giuffre was given $500,000 by Jeffrey Epstein in 2009 and agreed to take no further legal action. In her claim that year, court papers allege she had previously referred to being trafficked to royalty and other personal acquaintances of Epstein. Prince Andrew's lawyers therefore say he is covered by this deal. The $500,000 payment to Virginia Giuffre, about £370,000, is detailed in the agreement released today. In it, she agreed to release, acquit, satisfy and forever discharge the said second parties and any other person or entity who could be included as a potential defendant from all demands whatsoever in law for compensatory or punitive damages. Tomorrow, a court in New York will hear Prince Andrew's lawyers argue he is one of those potential defendants.
We did not know what that agreement said. Now we do know, and now we know that it covers any and all potential defendants who were involved in that Florida lawsuit. And the question is, was Prince Andrew one of them?
Prince Andrew has consistently denied all the allegations made against him, and despite this widely seen photograph, he says he doesn't ever recall meeting Virginia Giuffre. She claims she was forced to have sex with him on 3 occasions. Whether or not this civil case goes to trial later this year, the reputation of the Queen's second son remains badly damaged. Chris Shipp, ITV News.
A fire which devastated South Africa's parliament has once again caught light. Flames and smoke could earlier be seen coming from the building in Cape Town as firefighters tried to put it out. The fire, which was first started yesterday, gutted offices and caused ceilings to collapse. Finally, to the story of how an ice hockey fan in Canada may have saved the life of one of her team staff. Nadia Popovic was watching a Vancouver Canucks game when she spotted a mole on the neck of Brian Hamilton. Well, that mole turned out to be cancerous, and now she's been repaid handsomely, as Ellie Pitt explains.
Thank you so much for reaching out.
Well,
oh my gosh.
They were complete strangers until one life-changing moment back in October. During an ice hockey match in Seattle, fan Nadia Popovici, an eagle-eyed, aspiring doctor, spotted something that didn't seem right.
Just seeing him walk by the plexiglass multiple times, my eyes were immediately drawn to the back of his neck.
Unbeknown to him, equipment manager Brian Hamilton had a concerning-looking mole.
It immediately caught my eye, and it just met all the hallmarks for what I thought skin cancer may look like.
She held up her phone, telling him to see a doctor, advice he took and will never regret. The mole was cancerous, but caught early and treated.
She saved my life. The words out of the doctor's mouth were if I ignored that for 4 to 5 years, I wouldn't be here.
She's already saved a life.
At a match on New Year's Day, Brian and Nadia's respective hockey teams thanked her by revealing a $10,000 donation towards her medical school fees.
Nadia's medical career's off to a good start as this story just keeps getting better, John.
This student has started her life-saving career as she means to go on. Ellie Pitt, ITV News.
Oh, she's going to have a brilliant career ahead of her. And that is it for tonight. The weather is up next. But from everyone here on the Bank Holiday team, thank you for watching and good night.